Jack Coghill spent decades in public service in Alaska as a school board member, a territorial legislator, a constitutional convention delegate, Nenana's mayor, a state senator, and most recently 4 years as lieutenant governor during the Hickel administration. Born in 1925, he had humble beginnings as the youngest of 3 sons of Scottish immigrants who settled in Nenana. His father opened a general store there in 1916, which the family still runs today.
And 3 of us boys, and we were raised right here in the store. All of us went to high school here. Bill went to the University of Alaska, and Bob went to the university, and I went in the Army. When I was 4 years old, I used to go into the fur room, and I learned to count to 5. My first job was counting muskrats, and Dad would, because I remember that in those days, why everything was barter. Up until 1939, Dad's general store was 95% barter. I mean, the cash register would only probably ring in maybe $20 a day, because it was only the floaters, the people that worked for the railroad that came by, that had any money. These people were all trappers, and Dad would buy their furs. So he had 3 notches in the floor. This was for small, for medium, and this was for large. And you'd sit there and you'd put them in between the lines, and if it was one, I put it over here. Once you got 5, then you'd put another 5 this way, and another 5 this way, and when you got 5 bundles of 5, then you would wrap them up and bundle them. And that's how I learned to count. See, I was raised in the 20s and the 30s, a little different than it is today. And of course, we didn't have electricity. We had our power plant would go off at midnight, and would start up in the wintertime, and would start up at 6 in the morning. And of course, you didn't have all of the modern equipment that you have today. You didn't have coal stokers or electric furnaces or electric motors that drove. All of our furnaces were coal or wood, and everything was stoked that way. And nothing was automatic. But we were a modern town. You went down the river to Tanana, or you went down to Ruby and places like that. They didn't have that. It was all log cabins and stuff like that. So, a lot of the convenience that you and I nowadays are just take for granted didn't happen in those days. See, when we were growing up here, there were not very many white kids in town. So most of our chums, most of our kids were native kids. And so we all knew how to and learned how to understand and speak the Athabascan, Klickitat native language that was here.